In this lesson, we're going to paint some rocks. You're going to need some rocks. I also used a shell, some tempera paint or acrylic paint, paint brushes, a cup of water, and paper towels. You'll probably want a pencil and a Sharpie as well. So here's an example of a great painted rock. This one has a scene, a beautiful landscape. It has the sun and it has the clouds and it has a little figure on the side. And here's another example with just a kitty. It's kind of fun. Makes me happy. Here's another example. This is a nice round rock, kind of almost so on each side of it there's a new scene, and there's some trees right there, or this landscape with different layers. This one makes me so happy. My kids made it for me a few years ago. So I'm going to take this rock, and it's just a standard black rock. I actually got it from a store where everything's $1 because I am in a part of the country where it's really, really snowy this time of year, so finding rocks would not be the easiest thing. So if you're going to go find rocks, I suggest you go buy them or use them from your own yard. Alright, so what I do is you can draw with a pencil your design, but because you need to be able to see what I'm making, I'm going to use this white type of Sharpie. And so what you do is I'm going to make a penguin with this guy. This little rock just made me think of a penguin. So what I do is I kind of do a heart-shaped shape at the top, and then I go around and I'm outlining it. Again, you can do this with a Sharpie, you can do it with paint, you can do it with a pencil. But I wanted to make sure you could see that. My daughter's going to come in here and paint the belly and the face of this penguin. Now this is what I'm using right now is acrylic paint. If you're using tempera paint, you're going to need to do several layers. Acrylic paint is a bit thicker, but I did need to do several layers. So right now it's drying, dry. And while it's drying, I'm going to go ahead and mix some orange, because I'm going to make the beak of our penguin. Alright, we're going to do one more layer. I'm going to help my daughter out with this, just because she wanted to go play. One more layer. Alright, we're going to let that dry again. Again, if you're using tempera paints, you're going to want to do several other layers. Okay, so for the beak, I'm just going to do a triangle, and you can leave it at that. Oh, you might need to do several layers of that. In fact, I kind of made a little bit of a darker layer. Let it dry. That's one way to test it. Okay, so we're going to use Sharpie for the eyes. You can always use paint as well, but we're going to use a Sharpie. And so what we did is we did a circle, filled it in mostly, and left a little bit of a white spot to add that shine that you would get. Okay, and then right there where the indent is from the top of the heart, you want to connect that to the beak. Okay, so we're going to make a little bit of a darker orange, and we're going to put some small triangles to make the penguin's feet. Here is our bonus lesson, shell art. So you don't have to just paint on rocks, which is always so fun, and there's so many things you can do with it, but you can also paint on shells. So I took this shell, and they were together, and I took one side. As you'll notice, it's chipped. And I kind of thought, well, if it's chipped, it might not be useful. Well, you'll find out how useful that chip came in handy. So I'm going to look at this, and what do I want to create out of this? What could this be? And I decided, you know what, how about a fish? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define where I want the head, and I'm going to define with a dark blue where I want the fins. Now here's the thing, when I was filming this, the camera turned off while I was working and I did not know that. So you'll get to see pretty quick fast forward part to be able to see what I end up doing. This is where we're back on track. A few things I want to point out to you that I did. First, we have the blue head. Next, I put those blue lines to define where the fish parts are. We have the top of the fin and the bottom of the fin and the end fin. But you'll notice in the middle I didn't paint that at all. I liked that design. So I'm going to go ahead and add an eye, and I'm going to outline it with white to bring out its sparkle. And add a nice smile there. Just using the few colors I'm using are orange, yellow, red, and light blue and dark blue and white. And this is where I'm going to start adding lots of different kinds of patterns. So think triangles and dots and swirls and spots and stripes. So because we have this reddish orange is going to serve us well. It's going to bring out some fun patterns. It's going to bring out some areas. We don't want to use it too much because that reddish orange is going to be a highlight. That's where our eyes are going to be led to. I'm adding 2 lines with a larger space between, and that's just a pattern in itself using stripes. And there is my shellfish. Ha ha ha. So we'll just go ahead and add our last little touches, and here we have it. So your assignment is to go on out, grab a rock or a shell, and start painting. I'd love to see what you make. Take a photo of it, send it to the email down below, and I will post it in the gallery.